Welcome back you guys, and in today's News Daily video, I'll be focusing on 4 stories today. They are going to be on the latest reports coming out from Lyon in regards to how they may be forced to sell some key players from their team. I'll be speaking about the Chelsea Youth Academy, some potential ins and outs. I'll be speaking about Atalanta's left wing back in Gosens, and reports suggesting that he may be the #1 target that we're after. And to end things, I'm going to speak about a crazy story involving Loftus, Lazio, and a 17.5 million valuation. You guys, I'm FC, this is Blue Lions TV. Today's video is brought to you by the One Football app. Now, our useful feature and function of the app is that whenever we are linked with players from across Europe, you can actually use One Football app to follow the clubs that they're playing for, to get a better insight and context into other news surrounding the player. I use it all the time. One Football app is so helpful and useful when it comes to just collecting all the news from across Europe in a very convenient and easy way. Try it out for yourselves, you guys. Honestly, once you use it, you'll start using it every single day. You'll find a link below in the description below. And without wasting any more time, let's start with the first story today, and I want to get these Loftus reports out the way. Now, when I read this story, I've got to keep it real. This could be one of the most stupidest stories I have ever read. Now, Italian reports are suggesting that Lazio have turned their attentions to Loftus, and also RB Salzburg's, young, talented Hungarian player, and Dominic Zalojbai. And, they're reporting that Loftus does have a 17.5 million valuation, and that's naturally tempting Lazio. Now, the reason for this is due to Loftus-Cheek's injury history, which Italian reports suggest has dramatically reduced the value of the player. And Lazio, who are second in Serie A right now, having an unbelievable season, they're planning for the next season. They want a stronger squad to help them with UCL football, and of course, competing to win the Scudetto. But honestly, you guys, where do I even begin with this stupid story? So you mean to tell me, even though we know that Loftus-Cheek signed a new contract renewal literally last season, at the end of last season, allegedly he's on 150k per week, you're telling me that one injury that he's over right now, and that he doesn't have any chronic issues with, has dramatically reduced his price that much that he could be available for 17.5 million? Are you crazy? Honestly, deep it for a second. He's an under 24 English midfield player, and that should tell you everything. You mean to tell me that we'd consider selling an under 24 England international, a young English mid, for under 20 million? I'm actually done with this report, you guys. I'm done. Now, moving on to the next story, you guys, I do want to talk about potential ins and outs with the academy. Now, before I get into the main story, I do want to give you guys some insight and some context. With the market today, with Brexit taking effect at the start of next year, it's forcing a lot of English clubs to scour the European market to sign the best young talent that they can get. And to give you guys further insight, of course, with the current pandemic, clubs are looking at re-strengthening their academies and going for younger players, especially a lot of players under the age of 17, due to being available on pre-contract agreements. This way they're a lot more affordable, it's a much better investment, and the thinking is that this is the perfect time to sign some of the best up-and-coming talents across Europe. As an investment, it's a lot cheaper to go for players around this age bracket compared to spending so much money on established first-team players. Now, by me saying that, that doesn't mean that we're necessarily going to be affected. We still need to see what happens with the market, the pandemic situation, etc, etc. But that's why there's so many reports of young players being linked with moves away. But anyway, to get back to the main story today, this was reported by Matt Law, and he's suggesting that Borussia Dortmund have turned their attentions to a young, talented player in our academy called Charlie Webster. He plays in midfield, and naturally this does make a bit of sense. Ever since Sancho signed for Dortmund, he's kind of showing young English players that, listen, if you have confidence in your ability, if you feel like you're ready for the next step up in your career, signing for a German club could be the best possible thing, because in that sense, you do have an opportunity to get fast-tracked into the first team. It's a lot easier compared to Premier League clubs as well. And as I said, Sancho was that tangible evidence that, you could have a career playing in the Bundesliga. Now, is there a possibility that Charlie Webster could sign for Dortmund? Could this be us receiving a taste of our own medicine, because recently we were linked with Amandi Collins, a player that we have been looking at over the past few seasons. He recently decided to continue his spell with Dortmund by signing a new contract. Now, he is a highly rated, highly talented player, so this was a big loss for me personally, but obviously good luck to him, and I would not be surprised to see him playing in Dortmund's first team in the not too distant future. Does this mean that Webster could possibly leave us to sign for Dortmund? I don't think so. From what I'm hearing, and as what Matt Law reports himself, it seems very likely that Webster will stay and sign a professional contract once he turns 17. Now, Matt Law reports that Webster is our most highly talented young player at the club right now. Maybe he was exaggerating a bit too much. From what I'm hearing, there's another talented kid called Harvey who's a bit similar stylistically to a Marco Asensio. Players like Vale, Webster, Illing and Bell, they're 16-year-olds that were part of the squad for the youth UCL. They were the youngest players in that squad, so it's typical of us to fast track some of our most highly valued young players to obviously give them that taste of playing at this level and to prepare them for the following season once they play at this level a lot more regularly. Now, moving on to a potential departure, and that is Illing. Now, reports have suggested that Bayern Munich are close to signing the player, but from what I'm hearing, it seems that Ajax have a chance to sign him as well. Ajax and Bayern Munich are the two clubs close to signing the player, and at this point in time, it does look like he could be leaving us for pastures new. However, a player that could be replacing him is a young, talented fullback from Barcelona. His name is Alejandro Balde. He's a left back that plays for La Masia, and he has a reputation for being the best fullback at La Masia right now. Now, links first came out in regards to interest for this player actually last summer, where it was us and Liverpool linked to sign the player. However, reports have come out suggesting that he did sign a new contract with Barcelona that ends in 2022. So maybe Barcelona did that because maybe they feel like he's guaranteed to leave, and that way they can get some money from the player. Now, Balde is a player that has a big reputation because he's a player that knows how to use his pace. It's not about always running at full speed, it's about knowing when to accelerate, when to burst past your man, and he's a modern fullback in that sense. He knows how to make those late arrivals inside the box. Very good tenacity when it comes to winning his tackles as well, very good reading of the game, and he's very good technically and getting past his man. So, he could be an exciting talent, and in that sense, he would be like a like-for-like replacement for Illing. So I definitely think this is a case of watching this space so we can see what eventually happens. But anyway, you guys, we now move on to the third story today, and I want to talk about these Robin Gosens links. Now, at this point in time, what left back are we gonna sign? Because it seems like we've been linked with everyone. We've been linked with Tagliafico, Alexandro, Ben Chilwell, and Alex Telles. But reports from Italy are suggesting that Marina herself has made Robin Gosens priority number one. Now, obviously, we know that either Alonso, Emerson, or potentially both of these players could be leaving in the next window. If you're asking me, due to the pandemic situation, I would not be surprised that we kept at least one of these guys and maybe potentially sold the other one in January or for the following season. Gosens has a contract that lasts until 2024, but his valuation is just above that 20 million euro mark. Now, to give my thoughts and opinions on this news, Gosens does play as a left wing back. For Atalanta, they are one of the most exciting, technical, fluid teams in Europe right now. They score goals for fun, but they exclusively use wing back systems. And of course, there is a difference tactically playing as a wing back compared to a fullback. When you're a wing back, it means that you have protection behind you from your wide centre back pulling further wide, which allows the wing back to bomb forward and attack inside the box. As we've seen with Marcos Alonso, last season under Sarri, he really struggled as a fullback, playing in a back four. It just didn't suit his game. This season under Frank Lampard, Alonso's only looked good when he has played in a wing-back system. So I'm starting to just think of the sense behind this story. Why would we spend so much money on a left wing-back if we don't know if he can fulfill his duties playing as a fullback? Now, Gosens does have some very impressive stats for this season. 8 goals and 5 assists, amazing. However, when you have that attacking license when you're playing as a wing back, of course, naturally your attacking stats are going to look good. Personally, even though we have benefited from Alonso's forays inside the box, I think with players like Pulisic, Hudson-Odoi, Ruben, Mason Mount, etc, I feel like we're okay for players making those late arrivals inside the box. I think for our system to really improve and go to the next level, we need a left back that is able to play alongside our left inside forwards. You know, our inside forwards in Lampard's team have a creative responsibility as well as an attacking responsibility. So to best complement them, you would want a fullback that can make those overlapping runs, that can be that defensive linchpin in behind them, and that's very good at keeping the ball in the final third. When this market has so many great left back options available for a very affordable price, it seems like most of these targets could be made available under 30 million euros, which is absolutely crazy. Why is Gosens the best target? Even though Gosens looks like a good player, I don't know personally if he's the best fit for us. But anyway, you guys, to end with the final story today, we need to talk about what's happening at Lyon right now. Now, reports have been coming out from France suggesting that Lyon will be forced to sell some key players. These key players in particular, these players are Memphis Depay, Moussa Dembele and Houssam Aouar. So it's looking very peak if you're a Lyon fan, but it does not come as any surprise. As I have been saying a lot, whenever we've been linked with Lyon players, you know, Lyon may be forced to sell these key players because they aren't going to get Champions League football. You know, Champions League football was the only thing keeping some of their best players around. For example, when it comes to Memphis Depay, he actually spoke about contract renewals, but if he doesn't get Champions League football, he may be forced to look elsewhere to continue his career. Now, I'm going to break down each of the three players that are going to be available in the next window, starting with Aouar, and it seems like his valuation will be set at around 50 million euros. Now, does this mean that we have a chance to sign him? I mean, yeah, if we cough the money up. However, I don't think he's a player that's being monitored right now. You know, we're stacked in midfield. Loftus has returned. He's going to provide so many assists and so many goals, and it seems like Aouar is actually more likely to sign for Juventus or Man City. Now, I remember telling you guys maybe last year, somewhere within the past 18 months, that Pep Guardiola had held some secret informal talks with Aouar. Now, there's a big possibility that he may sign for Man City, but there's also a possibility that he will sign for Juventus because, of course, Lyon's chairman and Olas does have a good relationship with the Juventus board. He's mentioned that he could be willing to do business with them, and he jokingly said before that he'd be happy to sell Aouar to Juventus. So I think really he's a player that won't be signing for us. Now, moving on to Memphis Depay. You know, I do like Depay, I do like his Instagram videos, a very saucy figure. However, you guys, I still got hopes for Sancho, and I think when you have players like him that could be possibly available in the market, then I just think Depay just isn't the guy for us. Now, this leaves us with Moussa Dembele, with the latest report suggesting that Dries Mertens could be the most likely player to be signed as our backup striker for Tammy. You know, maybe Dembele is the second choice option at this point in time. A piece of business that I would love to see would be potentially seeing Mitchell involved in a player swap deal. I think Mitchell returning back to Ligue 1 could be best for the player's career, so he can just restart his career basically. Let's say Mertens decides to stay at Napoli and Dembele is that second choice option. If we could involve Mitchell plus money to bring the cost down for Dembele, personally I think that's great business. Us and Man United are two clubs showing the most interest in Moussa Dembele, and I think if he was available for an economical fee, then he's someone we should strongly consider. But on that note, you guys, that's going to be me for today. Remember to like, comment and subscribe. In the comment section below, give me your thoughts and opinions on today's news stories. Tell me if you agree with me or if you disagreed. It's all about opinions, you guys. And on that note, I'm going to wrap things up. I'm the FC. This is Blue Lions TV. I'll see you guys later for some more videos.